Oh, and thanks for joining today's brief demonstration webinar on the open enrollment module that employees can walk through in ThinkWorks Cohesion to enroll for their benefits. Whether it's open enrollment, new hire enrollment, or a life event change, we use the same wizard for a consistent experience for any employees that need to make benefit elections. So of course, the process will start with the employee getting a notification like you can see here on screen. It can be customized to whatever makes sense for your organization. And there'll be a direct link there for the employee to click, sign in, and get to their open enrollment area of the system. So how that looks is if I come in and I'm going to use this employee, Jim Sharper right here. He got the email. Jim said, okay, clicks the link, signs in with his user ID and password, the same one he uses to look at paycheck stubs, or he just went through onboarding with, whatever it might be, wherever he is in kind of the employee life cycle. He's logged in and, he's presented with the employee dashboard right here, the kind of the employee home portal. And up here at the top, there's notifications. Hey, open enrollment's available. Open enrollment is available to make sure he doesn't miss anything. And he can simply click this link to start the kind of 4-step wizard that he can go back and forth in. So all the screens, all the verbiage, and whether or not there are pop-up notifications in any screen is completely customizable based upon your and your customer's preferences. So he's getting just a welcome notification here. It's telling him he hasn't started. Percentage complete is 0. The open enrollment date will reflect whatever makes sense based upon your plan setup. And any instructions, again, can be placed on these pages. So the first page is really just kind of informative. Second page is asking him to review his dependents. So Jim's in here noting that, hey, we want to make sure all your dependents are in this system. He can add them on the fly during the plan selection, but it's just a little easier if it gets done now. So he can choose from a library of dependents when he's picking things like beneficiaries and things like that. So he can add a dependent here. He can review the existing dependent. His daughter's already in the system. He can make edits to it if he needs to. Again, custom instructions. Really, the key step is the third step, which is actually the plan selection step. And so these are the plan types based upon Jim's eligibility that he can choose from. So again, these boxes of plan types can be named whatever you want. And you'll notice as he makes selections, those boxes can change. Because if he chooses something like a high deductible plan, maybe he has to choose an HSA, stuff like that. So say, for example, he's starting with, logically his health plan. So he comes in and he gets to see any choices he might have, with any details about the coverage. As he changes levels of plan, he can actually see this will reflect upon his costs, how much the employer is contributing, which is an optional presentation, doesn't have to be there, how much it'll cost him per check, how much it'll cost him monthly, the total cost monthly, et cetera. The coverage details, the plan details. So again, any plan descriptions can be copied and pasted from a provider, can actually take him to a third-party website if we need him to, and see things like the statement of benefits. So those things can all be brought up in the system. So you can get to as much detail about the plan right from this screen right here. And so as he chooses plans, he can simply select the plan. In this case, this plan requires a beneficiary. So he'll choose his beneficiary and say that beneficiary is 100%. And he's made his selection here. Now you notice because that was a high deductible plan, other things have popped up in an HSA in this case. So, and again, he still can come back. It's open enrollment season. He can make changes. Maybe he wants to switch to this plan and just choose single only coverage. Again, it's going to require a beneficiary in this scenario based upon our setup. We get 100%. And now you'll notice the HSA is gone. So it recognizes the choices he makes based upon the different plans he's choosing. So he can choose a life plan. There's a voluntary plan where you're going to contribute to charity, et cetera, whatever needs to happen. So he also have, as long as you've said in the plan setup that he's allowed to waive coverage, he can come in and waive any of the coverages if he wants to, if he doesn't want to participate in something. So once he's made all his plan selections, he simply goes to a finalize page. This will list every plan he's chosen, whether it's one plan in this case, or if there's a health, a dental, a vision, et cetera, how much it's going to cost him per month, how much it costs per pay period, how much his employer is kicking in. He can see things like show me the dependents being covered, any of the beneficiaries of the plan, and any of the coverage amounts plans might have. And if there were any documents he needed to sign, they would be listed here. He could click on them, electronically sign them, and they'd be already pre-filled with any information about his plans. So once he signs this with his electronic signature, user ID, password, that will automatically go into the system itself. The appropriate people in the back office will be alerted in case they want to review. Also, the client will be alerted in case they want to review. But either way, it's actually done and will reflect all throughout the system. Nobody needs to go in and manually change payroll things during, based upon dates, etc. And this remains open. So if he wants to go back a step, 2 days later during the open enrollment period, he still can. So during the open enrollment period, he can still come back and make changes if he wants to. And then what's nice for the manager or the customer, kind of the customer that kind of owns this employee, they also have a spot where they can manage and look at what every employee is going through open enrollment. So let me just flip over to that particular customer out of my list of customers I'm allowed to have access to. Okay. And now I'm actually going to be presenting you with the client dashboard or the manager dashboard, kind of our self-service portal area. And you'll notice with this customer, there's a benefits area and lots of different information, ACA dashboard, ability to see all the benefit plans that employees are going through. And there's also an open enrollment monitor right here. It's kind of a dashboard that shows every employee and where they are in the process. So I can even sort by any of these statuses. So I come in here and say who's started, who's pending, all those different types of things in the system. And so if I do have an employee that's going through the process and maybe they're having issues with it, maybe this Sarah Casey person says, I don't really know how to handle this. Well, as a manager, I can actually sit with the employee and walk them through the open enrollment. So it's the same actual procedure where I can either have them electronically sign documents or print any documents to manually sign if I have that. But the wizard's the same. So I, as a manager, can actually go ahead and walk the employee through the same process. So it's the exact same wizard, but that way, if we do have an employee that has some struggle understanding certain things, they can come in and we can help them with those things. So thank you for watching today's presentation on the Open Enrollment module. Hope you found it helpful and happy to answer any questions.